Okay. Welcome to the November Koha US sysadmin special interest group. I'm Lisette Scheer. Oh, I should probably make my name say that. At the Latah County Library District in Moscow, Idaho, part of Valnet Consortium. So today, let's see, I think everyone has probably updated to 20, nope, not yet.
I think the table solves a lot of problems.
Yeah, okay, so you haven't updated yet, Jason?
No, I thought our upgrade was last night, but it didn't happen. So I don't know if we got delayed or I had the wrong date written down. I need to check on that.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of people, there was a lot of questions about like, what day am I updating? Because people's dates were changing. So interesting. Well, I hope it goes smoothly for you when you do update.
Yeah,
whenever
fingers crossed.
That may be.
I've been doing a lot of work on my OPAC just to make sure it doesn't
totally break. Yeah.
Look like trash.
Yeah. That's a nice thing about a test server is being able to do a have that upgrade first and fix all your problems. So you can just like copy and paste over the new stuff. So let's see. So anyone working on any cool reports or have any report questions? I'm still working on making like a dashboard like Christopher showed off last month that works for us, but we're still, or I guess 2 months ago now at the conference in September, we're still trying to launch our new website. So hopefully next week, maybe. We're getting pretty close. And so I haven't been doing like as much Koha stuff because we're trying to get that launched sooner rather than later. And there's just been a lot to get done. So I haven't been doing much reports wise. Anyone have any new bugs or bugs that have been getting worked on that they'd like to talk about? This might be a pretty short meeting today, which honestly I'm okay with because I have lots of emails and 2 other meetings today that will take up almost all the rest of my time. Does anyone have anything potentially? Yeah, Bruce, go ahead.
I don't know if this is a sysadmin question or not, but I'm running out of options.
Yeah.
The auto increment function of the control number has been working very well for me until something went terribly wrong and a huge number got put into that field. And now it's still working, but I've got a gap of a couple of orders of magnitude in the numbering sequence, which I would rather not have. I'm trying to find out where that number is stored and how to change it to a smaller number.
Let's see. I'm just looking at the wiki about the auto increment.
Everything I found on there was about the auto increment on barcodes.
Well, here's this wiki page about auto increment fixes that's talking about like one of the examples is if you create a biblio, the bib number is set to 1. The next one would be 2. Right.
But it all of a sudden got set to 120,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Not that big a library.
Let's see.
And to clarify, you're talking about the 001? Is that where auto increments? Okay.
Let's see. And you can't change, can you manually change an item number?
I can, and that would be laborious and prone to error.
Yeah.
There's nothing that prevents you from duplicating control numbers.
Yeah. Will prevent more corruption. There's like some stuff about corruption, which isn't the same thing. That's more like if something somehow two things get the same number, I think.
I have that going on right now. I can't delete this barcode right here because it exists in both deleted items and items
Yep.
simultaneously.
Well, on this page includes the stuff to do in the back end to fix that.
I opened a ticket. It's just sitting there.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do that, but I need somebody to hold my hand.
Yeah, I mean this. Well, in this, let's see.
I wonder if Fred's done some stuff like that, and I know that he wasn't very. His connection was kind of cruddy at the cataloging thing, but I wonder if he has any insight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because most of us don't dig into the back end much. Bruce and I talked at the cataloging a little bit about like making the change in the database, perhaps, but I don't know. I mean, I've done it very, very limitedly on my test server, but I don't really know what I'm doing there.
I would have taken this question to the dev list, but the next meeting I'm going to be in a cruise ship, and that's not how I'm going to be spending my time.
Have you put it out on just the global list yet to see if anybody has any?
No, I thought I'd start here, but
okay.
Well,
that's next.
Okay.
This has.
I have plans B, C, and D all lined up.
Good.
Unfortunately, Plan D is backing up the database and reinstalling from scratch, which I'd like to avoid.
Yeah. Well, and if you put in the items that have those numbers without changing them, even if you do a fresh install, the auto increment will probably still be messed up from my understanding of it, because it'll still look at the highest one.
Yeah, I did get rid of the high numbers. I manually loaded them. So that's no longer an issue.
Okay, so then I think in that case, if you do the solution that's on the wiki page I put in, which to me looks like it has pretty good instructions. And then the other thing too is that if you're, have you used the IRC at all?
I haven't been successful at using that. I have implemented this auto increment fix.
And it didn't.
That's an insert. That was something that happened, years ago, and it resolved that problem for me, which I wasn't even seeing that problem, but that's long gone, and I'm only on old stable, but that was rolled into that well before 2105, 2011.
Yeah, I'm looking at the solution down here, and it looks like what it does is basically reset the auto increment.
Right.
That solution.
But I don't know that resets the control number auto increment. I think this is for the database ID number.
Oh, not the control number.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically.
Yeah, talking about setting up biblio numbers.
Okay. That we kind of talked about, like theoretically you could dig into your metadata table and do it there, but I don't know if it's actually reading the auto increment number out of that.
I couldn't even find that to go digging.
So what's you said you're on old stable, is that
2011?
2011, okay. So it should be using the metadata table rather than the whatever the old one was.
If it sounds like there's a old stable's about ready to roll over, so I'll try again after that, but I'm not looking for that to be the solution here.
I'm just looking up more. I don't do cataloging, so I'm just looking up
Yeah.
more about these.
That's about all I do. I inherited a 35,000 book collection, and the former catalog was in the head of our dead founder. Eidetic memory is a great thing, but it's hard to transfer. Well, the format's
Yeah.
marking it doesn't handle.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Not finding too much help there. Yeah, I would recommend asking on the list,
I'll do that.
the regular list. Although I'm still.
The next line after that is the dev list,
Yeah.
which, you know, it's like a den of rattlesnakes. You got to know what you're doing to really mess with those guys.
Let's see.
They don't suffer fools gladly.
I feel like the devs are usually happy to answer questions, although it probably depends this time of year because they're
Yeah.
right in the middle of the
The release
2111 release. They might be a little bit
slow.
yeah.
I can deal with slow.
Let's see.
I've been forcing a control number of 999 on everything so I can pull them back up in a list and blast through them once I get this fixed.
Yeah.
But I want that to be a short list.
Oops. And that's the 001, right?
001, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even sure where that is. I'm just like trying to look and see if there's a metadata. Where is it? Just looking at like the tables. But I think you just have to get it through the metadata, which of course complicates things. There's not like just a table where you can link to reset, like with all the other auto increment stuff.
Yeah, I haven't even figured out where the metadata data is.
Yeah. That would, well, I guess, let's see. So how are you finding them if you can't figure out where the metadata is, just as you come across them?
When I'm using the advanced editor, I click on, insert next control number.
Uh-huh.
And instead of a number in the 3000s, it's coming up in the 120,000s.
Uh-huh. Because I wonder if you just, so if have you cleared out all the ones that are
Cleared out
high?
the not large ones. So that's no longer there, but it's the system apparently has a memory for the largest one it had given out, which makes sense because if I delete the last number I put in and put in the next one, I don't want to duplicate the number because that leads to problems. Numbers are cheap and confusion's expensive.
Yes.
Did you do you have anything in your control num sequence authorized value list? Have you looked at that?
No.
You might look at that. That's in the in your global preferences if you go to your authorized values. it looks like you can designate a value there and associate it with a description. So
There you go, have a look. And that's, and which preference did you say that was?
you go
So it's
into administration and then authorized values.
and what's it called?
The authorized value category is control_num_sequence.
Sequence.
Control num sequence. Ah,
So it looks like you can put in an authorized value, which is going to be the number it starts at, and then a description.
Terrific.
And then that ties into the advanced editor.
So the authorized value is the large number that I saw. Let me change that to a reasonable number. And then I'll go grab a book to catalog. Okay.
And see, we don't have this set up, so I don't know what it looks like at all beyond that.
Edit record. Some days I wish I had an in-house server instead of one in a virtual farm out in Texas, but then I think about trying to maintain it. Okay. Oh, what do you know? Here's a record I randomly chose. Doesn't even have a 001 field. So assign next. And I get a small number. I love it. You guys have fixed it.
Did that work? Great.
Yay.
Yeah. I figured it was a setting somewhere. I just, the challenge with documentation is you go through the instructions and explain what each of them does. And when you're having problems, you need to start with the problem and then work back to the function that fixes it.
Yeah.
And that's ever so much more difficult to write.
Well, I'm glad we
Okay.
figured it out.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. You've just solved my problem.
Yeah, and that is totally the kind of question for the systems group. Because the
Okay.
other thing is that especially if we don't have stuff to talk about in particular, which usually is mostly around like the updates, or if someone has like something they're working on that they ask for help with, a lot of times we'll just sit here and work on, like, if someone has a report question,
Yep.
we'll just troubleshoot the report question or whatever.
I'm working through report questions too, but I'm new to SQL, so it's probably to my benefit to work through them the hard way.
Well, if you have any questions, this is a great place for them. And you can also email the listserv, sysadmin@koha-us.org.
Yeah, I joined up for that because it looks like I'm going to have that kind of problems.
Yeah.
I go along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On our website, we've got that. Is that up, Jason? The SQL one? I don't remember.
The SQL
Well, I
reference
found
guide
half a
isn't.
dozen tutorials. My problem with video tutorials, I have to wait till the wife goes to bed because she doesn't want to listen to them. Home office.
Well, on our education page, we maybe have some stuff linked. I can't. Oh, learn. On the learn page.
I'm not frustrated yet. I'm making good progress. Right now, I've got one report I'm working on. I get the right number, but it's the end of 229 pages of data.
Oh, yeah.
There's obviously something I'm missing here.
Yeah, Jason is working on for the education committee, right? That's you, or is that George?
No, that's me, and it's mostly done because we decided to chop it off. So we've done these, like, I've got one here.
Quick reference
These
guides.
sort of reference guide things.
Oh yeah, those are
Um,
great.
So I've got one that's basic SQL for Koha specifically, that gives you just basic information, common
I've got
tables.
one for the cutter table right here.
Yeah, so we'll publish that one probably this month. I think we were just reviewing it. Everybody was reviewing it, and then I'm working on a. So it's taken so long because it was getting big. So I cut it off at simple, and then the next one's gonna have things like how to query mark data and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of cheat sheets that have got the obvious stuff in the front and the weird stuff on the back.
So that'll be a great resource when it launches. That's not a video. Actually, I have a, here, let me turn off my video for a second. I have a thing that I've had that someone sent me when I mean, this is a super basic thing, but I always like showing it off to people when I feel like I have an opportunity to. It's just pinned up on my wall and has been for like 5 years. Oh, video start again. It's like how to, sorry, my phone's not off. Okay. It's got like select coffee types and creamer types, and it's like explaining how to write reports really basically based on different coffee orders, which like it's super basic, but I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I always like showing that off. Someone sent it to me just like for fun, not very long after I started doing Koha reports. And it's just always fun. It's up on my wall. It was super basic though. You know, just like select from one or two tables with one where statement basically, but it's always a little fun. So let's see, any, oh, okay, actually I do have something that's exciting. That's a bug that got fixed that I think we might be the only people in the US using this feature, but it works a lot better now. So I'm hoping maybe more people will use it, which is the stock rotation feature to automatically move items between branches. We're part of a district that's within a larger consortium. We rotate our new book items to our 7 branches. How we used to do this was like they'd have to come back in between and our person would have to like send them all out each time. So they'd like come in and then go out to the next branch and then come in and go out to the next branch. And now what we're doing is we're setting up new, they're called rotas when they go out or when they come in actually before they go upstairs to the new bookshelves. And so now after the update, they are requested for transit. They used to get automatically put into transit, which was annoying because you never knew if it had actually been seen or put in transit until it got checked in at the home branch. So there was like always a billion things in transit. And then after the update, it didn't do that, but it also wouldn't put things into transit when you confirmed it, like just checked it in and transferred it. It would just still say it was available. So that's been fixed now. So it functions really great. And I know it's kind of like niche because not everybody's a multi-branch system that works like this. But for other multi-branch systems that do have this, it's an exciting feature that's actually functional for how we use it now, in theory. So that part only got patched, the second part where it wouldn't put things into transit like a week ago. So we're still like making sure that it's actually all working as it's supposed to, but last week it all looked good. So if anyone is watching this and is like, how do you even get started doing something like that? Please feel free to reach out on the list or to me directly. My email's all over the place. But it's Lisette S at latawlibrary.org. And so, yeah, because at least as far as supported customers from Bywater go, we're the only people using it. But even when I've talked to people on the list or IRC about it, it sounds like we're using it. And then some libraries in Europe who are kind of like their support company did all the work on it. Probably for them. I don't remember if it was like sponsored or just like something they've been asking for. So it's like only a year and a half old. Well, we're like 6 months behind usually. So we got it last spring, but it was the we got it in 2020 spring. It would have been like 2019-11 was when it was first introduced. So yeah.
Oh, okay, I have a question because we
Yeah.
do have a rotating collection, but we've never really looked at stock rotation because some of our rotation drops aren't in Koha. So do you think there would be a way to have like a set of dummy locations that we could, even though they're not in the consortium, we could still like say it's just have a location that's like non-consortium library and
Yeah,
say that's
you just
that.
have to like make a branch that was non-consortium library. And then when someone would have to like check them in there to get them off of the transit lists to like change their library to non-consortium library and check them in.
Okay, so that the receiving part isn't automated.
Right. You have to
Okay.
check it in.
That
At
just
the
sounds like more work for Jason because I'd have to do that.
yeah, although you could do it. Let's see. Would it go through you to get to those other branches?
No, so we've got like 6 different routes basically, and it cycles through a list of libraries on those routes.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably have to think about that and maybe make the non-consortium libraries the last person on the route or something.
Mm-hmm.
Could you do a batch change in the holding library?
So yeah, you should be able to do like you could do a report.
But that wouldn't be like totally representative, right? Because if something's checked out and I batch it, like, so it rotates. But if something's checked out when the rotation happens, then some of those books are still where they're checked out at.
Yeah, their home library would change, but not their holding library. Well, what would
Right.
normally happen with something like that?
Right now, it's all happening outside of the system. Like we've got the books cataloged in Koha and people can check them out within the system, but I think it makes the full rotation, then it comes back to here and we check it in to reset the location back to here, and then it goes out again. So it's not at all tracked or thorough, and we don't have like holds on those because we don't know where they're at any given time.
Could you create the non-consortium libraries as patrons and check the books out to them?
Because you could do that in a batch.
Yeah, that could work. It still seems like more work with less value added. I think the only added value, like the only reason we might want to consider doing it is to allow those holds, because if we can keep track of where they're at, then we could potentially have the libraries pull them off the shelf and fill holds with them. But at this point, it's just kind of a static sitting in the library browsing collection.
How many libraries do you have that aren't part of? How many drops are not part of Koha?
I don't know for sure. I know we've got like nursing homes and we've got libraries that aren't really libraries. So I would say more than 5, less than 20.
Yeah, I think maybe checking them out would work because then you could still track it. And what if you didn't have to do it? What if whenever they were pulling stuff to send there, you had them check that list out to the whatever patron? You could even have like a list specifically that showed who it was supposed to be checked out to, so they could just find them and check them out and put them in the crates.
I'll
Or
have to think
however.
about that. But there's still more work. for
Yeah, but being
them.
able to track stuff is pretty nice. Also, I don't know like how big your collection is that you're doing this with.
I don't know the exact numbers. It's fairly large.
And I don't know how frequently it goes too. Like, would it be? We only our new book stuff is only about up to about 50 books a month for everybody except our main branch, which has the most people. And they just run the report twice a week and pull it, well, at least twice a week, and pull them and check them in. And for our courier before he comes, we only have our internal courier twice a week. And so that works pretty well for us. And we're probably also going to add like some AV rotation in now that we've got it kind of ironed out. And so it's like not going to be a huge amount for the most part each week, but we are having them run it like constantly so that it's not huge all the time. So
I just don't know if it's something that we could. I feel like we pile on so much under my little library. It's like I've got some libraries that are just open 2 days a week and they can barely keep up with just
what you're doing
basic
already.
stuff like overdues and transfers to receive and that sort of thing. So piling on something else probably isn't the best.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting idea. I mean, even if it, I don't know, we would have to do like a value assessment, I think, to really see, because I know that some of those items, those are the only ones we have in the catalog. Like,
so being able to place holds on them would be helpful.
Yeah.
For all your patrons. Yeah, I'm trying to think of if there was like is a way that you could kind of automate that or at least reduce. Because one thing you could do is if you pull, sorry, I'm trying to think of like if you could write a report that could give you the information for batching, which would be a little more JSON work, but might not be a ton more JSON work. If you can write the report in a most helpful way.
Yeah, and the upgrade adds a report specifically for this.
For transfers to send, yeah.
Transfers to send thing, so.
Which also, it's kind of annoying though. It has everything that's currently checked out, which isn't usually helpful if you're just trying to pull stuff. And it shows stuff that has a lost or damaged status. And I have some jQuery to hide the checked out stuff, but we ended up just editing the report that we had been using already. Because also it had a little more information than the other report did. But just so you know, that report exists and it technically functions, but like we have a lot of stuff in damage statuses, like with librarian, because there was a problem with it, or maybe it's in mending getting fixed. And then that's all showing up on the list, which isn't helpful for the home branch.
So like most canned reports in Koha,
yeah,
I would just end up replacing the link with one of my own custom reports. Okay.
Yeah.
I
But
was
I
just
have a good
planning on
report.
hiding that button anyways.
I have a good report I can send you if you decide you want to play around with it that hides that kind of stuff.
I'll put it on my long range plan.
So what else did we do? I think we did some other stuff different. Oh yeah, and we told it not to have holds wait in, which I think the report also had items that were holds wait in. And yeah, just anything that's in a stock rotation and trying to transfer for either advancing or to go home. Because that's if it's like checked out when it advances, instead of just saying like, oh, this is advancing, it says, okay, time to repatriate this book back to its home, even though its home has advanced. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, I can just send you this. I'll put it in the chat, but I can also send it to you in the Slack.
I'll just copy and paste it into my test server right now.
Okay. Yeah, it's not, I mean, it's basically what because before we had to run a report for things and we had changed it some, yeah, this is different than it was before, but because we were doing hiding, before my report was hiding anything that was last seen on or after the day it was requested, because that way we figured it would, in theory, be put into transit. This was before things were actually getting put into transit, or when they were just automatically getting put into transit. So if it had been seen after, we assumed it was actually on its way to wherever it was supposed to go to help reduce the number of stuff that they were looking for more than once. Because yeah, our other than this branch that I work in the building for, we only have one person out at any of the branches at a time. And most of them are only open 4 days a week. One of them's only open, or two of them are only open 3 days a week. So they have some of those same problems where we'll be like, run all these reports and pull these books. And they'll be like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, if we don't have, does anyone have any other system-Z bugs or reports or things they're looking forward to if they haven't updated yet?
I have been working on my mega menu to make it more accessible. So part of the reason it's taking me so long to update my OPAC stuff is because I've been adding in all this stuff that I've wanted to do for a while, and one of those things was trying to make the mega menu more friendly for people with visual impairments and that sort of thing. So I can show that off if you want.
Sure. We got time.
I think that's the right one. So before I can bring up the current one because we haven't upgraded. Right now, the menu just kind of flips in and out, which isn't very user friendly, especially for mouse users, because if you're not steady with your mouse, then it makes it really hard to follow. So I added a little delay on the hover, which leaves it up for a second. And then same thing for those panels. It's just a little bit of extra time to get over there. And it does cause a little bit of problem. Like if you go between them real fast, then they get some overlap on the right over there. But I think that it's a little nicer. The other thing that this doesn't do is it's not tabbable. So
Oh,
I mean, it is tabbable, but it's in there right now. It doesn't open when you tab to it because, you know, I wrote this a long time ago and I didn't know what it's doing. So I fixed that. So on the current site now, if you tab to it, it opens the menus and your focus follows along with the little box. I do still have problems with these dumb library aware widgets because every one of those books is a link. So you have to kind of tab through those to get past them. I tried to put a no tab on them and that didn't work. So for now, they're just kind of there. But I think it's still an improvement over how it was functioning before.
yeah. I like your test stuff on your test ribbon there.
Oh yeah, so we were talking about trying to use comments more as a review type thing. So these links are usually underneath here, and I got rid of those, and that's how we've had it, and moved those up to the Explore menu. But we were talking about trying to maybe do some more local vocabulary crowdsourcing type things. So bringing that stuff to the front page as well. For the reviews, I'm wanting to. It does have star ratings, but some of these people don't star them. But I'm wanting to do like a sliding panel here so that you can like skim through them, the most recent reviews. And then we talked about we've been doing a lot of genreification work. We've got some standards set up for that now. So we were talking about maybe populating the genres as tags so we could have a more useful tag cloud on the front page. Also with the idea that the patrons would actually see that and start using it, because right now they're not. But if we can make it visible and make it appealing, maybe we can start getting more of our patrons to dump things into that. And then here we talked about curated lists. So right now it's just Hoopla, but the lists are kind of awful for the OPAC because you can't search them. So we were talking about doing like a panel slidey thing here to kind of bring lists to the forefront, and do a little more curation. So yeah, that's all in the works. We're probably not going to launch those anytime soon. But the rest of it's pretty up to date. I think I still have some work to do on the search results side of things, but I think we're ready to upgrade whenever that happens,
Whether it's today or
next week or next month. Yeah. Lost my Zoom controls there.
Jason, I just wanted to let you know I can only stay for part of the general meeting tomorrow. I have a training at 10 or 9, halfway through the meeting, I think, at the top of the hour. So I'll only be able to stay part way.
Okay. What about, are you still dropping off conference committee?
Yes, probably.
Okay. Was
I
there
like-
anything you were working on that we need to talk about?
I don't think so. I think I very purposefully didn't volunteer for anything during the last conference meeting.
Are you dropping off, Jason, of the conference?
Not yet.
And George has dropped off, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
There's not enough people on it, so I probably will stay unless we can get more people on it.
also like I don't mind helping, but I can't do every meeting. So maybe I'll just come to like every other one or something. I'm supposed to, I'm like trying to reduce how many meetings I'm in. But I also like helping with the conference, so I don't mind helping some. So I just can't come to like every single meeting anymore. But yeah, I definitely won't be able to come to the conference meeting tomorrow. And I'll have to, I think, leave the general meeting early. Are we voting on?
So we're doing introduction of candidates, and then we have to give it a week before we open the
And
vote.
then we'll vote. Do we
Yeah.
have candidates for everyone?
We're
Do we,
working on
Barbara?
it. We're working on it.
When does it close and what roles?
Last
do you-
week.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Well-
technically closed, but we're
What-
flexible if we find another willing body.
Yeah,
But-
so we I don't know where we're at with our I think Rhonda was reaching out to the main candidates, and I know we've heard back from some. I think we're good on unsupported. Are we good on vice president? Did you hear back?
I'm hoping, but I'm not sure that that's actually confirmed. So
Okay.
I need to
And
check
then-
on that. And then we're
actively recruiting the
Contacting-
secretary.
contacting various
Basically.
people about secretary. And I've had, some responses back of, I'd love to, but now is not the right time. I'd love to do it in the future, kind of things.
Do I recall? I thought Christopher said something about that he could be secretary if no one else wanted to. Am I remembering that incorrectly? Does that sound familiar to
he
anyone
can't
else?
hold more than one position though.
Oh, okay. So he's. Oh, okay.
So we're still working things out. I guess we'll see what happens at tomorrow's meeting, and hopefully
Yeah.
those people will be there. We
Yeah.
definitely have an unsupported member though, I think. So that's one.
Okay. Cool. I think that's one thing that's hard about not having as much in-person conferencing, because like Christopher and George and you definitely convinced me when we were in Portland to run for vice president, and that would not have gone nearly as well if we hadn't been in person. And I feel like maybe we got Rhonda to run while we were in Pueblo. I think we kind of talked her into it while we were there. So hopefully next year, more of the board will be able to be at the meeting and at the in-person conference portion and
And
convince
more
people.
victims.
Yeah,
I mean, potential recruits.
potential candidates. Yeah. So yeah, that would be good. So, okay, well, I think that's probably it for our systems meeting. We can end a little bit early. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Oh, wait, our next meeting is December 14th at 8:30 Pacific, or 8 Pacific, 9 Mountain, 10 Central, 11 Eastern.
And what's that UTC time?
Oh, I don't know.
I want to say 1600. That might be wrong.
If it's not 1600, blame Jason.
Okay.
Or me for not looking it up. But okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording now.